ESG, Environment, Social Governance. We do it every day, we do it in all our businesses, and we should have been doing it here today in the conference room also. So, social, yes, we are doing it. We are all going to share our experiences, how these people of representing companies of repute are living ESG every day in their companies, with their customers, within the organization. Governance, we are following a certain schedule and we are doing the sharing, helping build the community. But environment, are we so conscious of the environment today in this meeting? I don't think so. The change starts with us, and my humble request to the Park Hotel is to have a combination of plastic bottles and glasses and water bottles in the conference room going forward. Because we should be the leading change bearers for the society. With that note, ESG, we will start sharing what we have on the stage today. We have an esteemed panel here representing various industries, not just what they are doing today, but where they are coming from. So they have worked with various industries in the past, and there are lots of good stories that they can share with us, what they have done. And I will start with Sanjay. Sanjay, I understand your current organization supplies fashion garments and apparels to big global giants like Gap, Macy's, Walmart, Next, and many others. How does the global customer view ESG initiatives? How do you communicate the story of the various initiatives to the customers? And most important, is the customer willing to pay a premium for initiatives that cost so much more?
Good evening, good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon, eminent panelists. Yeah, it's a very pertinent, question which we deal with day-to-day basis. So, just to give a brief introduction of Pearl Global, we have manufacturing footprints. We are manufacturer of the apparel, ready-made garments, supplying to big brands like Gap, Macy, PVH, Tommy Hilfiger, Calvin Klein, Inditex, Zara is their brand. H&M is not that we are supplying, but these are the retailers who are buying from us. We have manufacturing footprints in India, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Indonesia, Guatemala, and marketing design offices in US, UK, Spain, Hong Kong, Dubai. So all well spread and very deep into the garment sector for a long period of time. Over a period of time, there has been a lot of discussion which has come for ESG compliance, environmental, social, and governance compliances. Now, where does this emanate actually? There is a compliance which is required from an environmental perspective is what the supplier base, what we have, in all the location where we are operating, is about the renewable source of energy, which is right, replacing the traditional with solar power. We have to be mindful of the, when you're washing the garments, which is coming, the chemical which is getting used is actually there is a proper ETP plant which is there across. And then we have rainwater harvesting. We have carbon footprint in terms of the greenery which is there around the plants. And then there are boilers which get used. If you have electric boiler and electric is fueled from the renewable sources, that's how you take care of the sustainability initiative across your value chain of manufacturing process. Now, all this has a huge compliance cost. Reason is that we recently did some renovation of our washing facility, laundry facility in Bangladesh. Now that costed a good $3.5–4 million, and that's how the cost comparison come compared to $1 million. You spend $3.5–4 million. Of course, this all become cost of your product. Now it does bring in the compliances. The first is how do we communicate? The first part of your question is that we bring those water consumption, which is clearly measurable across the various facilities we have for the washing, laundry. And then we tell that, there is a 75%, 80% reduction in the water consumption which was used earlier. So that is well appreciated by our retailer. Then on the energy consumption side, we do it renewable energy, which is what we are putting solar plant, which we are putting in all our plants in Vietnam, Bangladesh, and now in India also. That's another one which comes into picture, which we communicate them more regularly. Um, then there are other compliances also come into picture. When they look at governance point of view, you got to be having a diversity. There can't be a, firing of the worker. There has to be a respect to the, the laws or the overtime, social compliances. This all required to be come with a lot of cost to the businesses. But then communication channel is like that. There is a metrics, there is a Higgs score, which is standard benchmark used across the industry for a manufacturing segment. And we are following that, and Higgs score is some indicator is here. So this is how the communication take place with the retailer. Now the second part, which is mentioned about the pricing, whether it is paid by the retailer, uh, we have recently, just 2 days back, there is an article in Economic Times where new European regulations are actually forcing the big retailers like Inditex, yeah, H&M, to really, participate in making their factory suppliers more governance friendly by investing in those facilities, which means very clearly they see a gap. So while the demand is there from them to be compliant, there is not much of the cost sharing benefit or the added advantage which comes along with that. Of course, we as a responsible company want to be completely compliances. There are regulation which are coming in India also. The SEBI has also made business sustainability and report, which is, the framework which has been designed on the principle of national responsible conduct. Out of that, 9 principle has been taken, and, some are essential, some are voluntarily indicator, but then that's required. And investors today are really asking us in terms of whether all our factories are compliant, whether we have a proper Higgs score, how much energy we are generating, how much diversity we have, how much compliance with respect to labor regulation. So the pricing is still a question, where there is a regulatory push required from the retailer side. So European regulations are really pushing them to really come up and support them. So there is a wet bulb test which is they do for extreme temperature in some of the factories in Bangladesh, Vietnam, and Pakistan operates, and they are really asking them to do that. So yes, there is a long way to go in terms of the pricing. The awareness is there, and it's a very necessary awareness which is required. But yes, maybe let's say 3, 4, 5 years down the line, there will be definitely some consideration coming in, and pricing will find a favorable impact. But yeah, it's something which is there.
Sanjay, thank you very much. Very deep insights into how the industry really functions, especially the textile industry, and not just textiles, but any industry where sourcing is happening from developing world to the developed world. So thank you so much for sharing the customer perspective and also some insights into how the companies work. And taking it further into how the companies work, I would like to ask Shekhar that you have worked with both Indian and French, German MNCs in the past. How do companies across countries and continents integrate ESG into their financial strategy?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. So first of all, as ma'am mentioned that there are plastic bottles, so I will say there is also green plants. So I must appreciate that it's not artificial. At least we are using the green plants. So that is there. Now coming on the question, so yeah, I have worked in Indian and multinational companies, and ESG factor remains very much same because there has been a lot of focus from regulators, from investors, and even from the employees. Because everyone, you take your own example, you want to work, or even as a consumer, you want to consume the things which you feel it's more sustainable. It's impacting less and less to the environment. So that's what you prefer. So that has been the trend. So even the regulators, they are asking organizations to report ESG. So all this has now become quite common. And even before these frameworks came, like when I was working in Ambuja Cement, then even the promoters had that mindset. Because when we talk about Ambuja, it was into cement manufacturing. And there were a lot of environmental impacts that were happening. And also it was impacting the society also, the people who were living near the plants. So the promoters at that very time itself, they were taking care of the needs of the people who were there around. So just ensuring that there is less and less pollution that is there through the plants. And even like ensuring that basic infrastructure, even at the cost of the company, is being provided to the community, their employees, or when we talk about the employees, so preference is given to the people who are near to those plants. So that in a way it's sustainable for the organization as well as for the society. So this has been very much common, I believe, in from the ESG perspective. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shekhar. Moving forward, I move to you, Dhoop, and you would be amazed to hear the statistics. While at Hero Finance Corp, Dhoop has raised 80,000 crores, so that's a lot of money, managing 250 plus relationships. Now, Dhoop, when you did that, what has been your experience with strategies for aligning ESG matrix with traditional financial performance to drive long-term value?
Sure, it's a very interesting journey that I've had. I joined Hero FinCorp in 2014, and we as a company, we are into lending. Man on the street is our customer. It's not people like you and me. It's more in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 towns that we lend. So over the course from 2014 to about 2019, we were relying mostly on traditional finance, going up to banks, mutual funds, insurance companies, and borrowing money, because money is a raw material. We borrow money to lend money to people. But over the last 4 or 5 years, the entire landscape has changed quite a bit. Today, about 35% of our borrowings, of all the money that we lend, comes from a mandate where the institutions mandate that the end use of the funds has to be either environmental or social. Um, the first such borrowing we did in 2020, it was a 200 crore loan that we did, which mandated that the end use has to be to small and marginal farmers. Today, about 7,000 crores of our borrowing is to small and marginal farmers of a similar borrowing. Similarly, for affordable housing, we have a total housing book of about 6,000 crores. Of that, about 5,000 crores is affordable housing. And again, we have NHB, who has this very interesting funding criteria, that if you meet those criteria, you get funding about 150 to 200 basis points cheaper than the average cost of borrowing that you have. So that again helps not just us, but if we see so many other affordable housing companies who've been extremely successful, their 20% of their borrowing gets contributed through this source of funding. We have this a third part, which is lending to SMEs who qualify as priority sector, which RBI has classified as priority sector loans for banks, and that in turn banks are willing to lend to NBFCs who qualify that criteria. Again, out there you have a pricing differential of 50 basis points. So today, if any non-banking financial entity who's into lending, if we are not lending on the ESG sector, we would probably be out of business. We would not be as profitable as we would be. So the availability of funds and the cost of borrowing itself, which is the cost of raw material for us, that has been a major strategy driver over the last 4 or 5 years, and we see that shift in the funding mix for all the NBFCs that we see in our sector.
Very interesting how you're touching the lives of common people and also trying to impact SMEs.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Dhoop. Moving to Mr. Gadia, keeping ESG at the center, what obstacles complicate the funding process? And what strategic options exist for securing funding?
We at Resurgent India Limited, we are one of the biggest financial advisory firm, so where we help companies in raising money. तो हमें एक ही काम आता है, anybody looking for funding, तो we act as an intermediary between the fund providers and also the institution which are looking for funding. So how the ESG help us in doing our job better? So that was the thing that I was thinking about it. I'll just give you some of the statistics, sir. NTPC, we all know that it is a listed entity. The market cap of this company is around 3 lakh crore. और उसका turnover अभी मैं देख रहा था, I was just going through the screener. The sale is 1.86 lakh crore, NTPC की sale है, and profit is 18,000 crore. P is 18 rupees, माने 18 का P में NTPC is getting trade. Now NTPC came out with another कि whatever was the portfolio with NTPC was there, उसने अपने green का portfolio he just subsidized and made it into an NTPC green. NTPC green, NTPC has got a market cap of 3.25 lakh crore का market cap है, 18,000 crore का profit है और 18 का P है. सदियों से कंपनी चली आ रही है and you know the whatever is the market. New company which is being formed, उसका market cap is 1.25 lakh crore and NTPC का profit था 18,000 crore, इसका profit है 340 crore. 340 crore के profitability में the market cap is 1.25 lakh crore. So this is one. The question doesn't end there. Government of India के 3 बच्चे हैं जो power को funding करते हैं. These are the 3 institutions, REC, PFC and IREDA. These are the 3 institutions which fund all the power projects of Government of India. REC, PFC, they have a book size of more than 5 lakh crore and working for donkey's years. They have been financing the entire power sector of the country. That is what they have been doing it. PFC has a market cap of 1.69 lakh crore. P is only 8 rupees. 8 के पी में ट्रेड कर रहा है पीएफसी और आरईसी 10 के पी में ट्रेड कर रहा है. प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी ऑफ पीएफसी इज 28,000 करोड़ एंड प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी ऑफ आरईसी इज 15,000 करोड़. 28,000 करोड़ का कंपनी 5 लाख करोड़ की किताब 8 के पी पे ट्रेड कर रही है और 1.7 लाख करोड़ का मार्केट कैप है. इरिडा न्यू किड ऑन द ब्लॉक एंड 60,000 crore of market cap, P42, which is highest in any of the financial industry. We have got all the leading NBFCs there. We have got all other institutions here. Price to book value is highest in the country for any of the financial institution. Book value is 42 rupees and market and the per share price is 220 rupees. It is more than 8 times of the market. Generally what we see is that कि 1 रुपया इक्विटी की मार्केट इक्विवेलेंट टू अराउंड 3 से 3.5 रुपया. बजाज इज एब्सोल्युटली फिनोमिनल. तो उनको 1 रुपये के इन्वेस्ट करते हैं तो उनको 5 रुपये का मार्केट कैप इनको मार्केट एडवांटेज देता. बट फॉर अदर्स इट इज़ 3 and 3.5 रुपीज़. बट इरिडा इज मार्केट लीडर. उसने आके बेंचमार्क तोड़ा. उसने आके 9 रुपये, वो 1 रुपया इन्वेस्ट करता, उसका 1 रुपये की इक्विटी लगाता, उसको 9 रुपये की वैल्यूएशन मिलती. So what we as a financial advisor have started doing, there are 2-3 things that we have distinctly done, and that is what for all the companies for the fundraising that you can distinctly employ for raising your financing. We were working with a data center company. 3-4 साल से data center is the flavor of this decision. We were working for a data center company. Last 3 years before when we were working, we raised the first data center money at 1 year MCLR plus approximately 1% to 1.5% spread पे. अपन ने 1.5% spread पे data center के लिए पैसा raise किया. And the funding we got it was only for 10 years, wherever the company was asking for 12 years funding. Same data center company, what they did, उन्होंने जितनी भी power requirement थी, they shifted from any of पहले भी पावर किससे ले रहे थे. बट दिस टाइम व्हेनेवर वी वेंट फॉर एन एक्सपेंशन फॉर द प्रोजेक्ट, वी आस्क्ड द कंपनी व्हाई डोंट टू गेट इट इनटू अ सोलर मोड. सो उन्होंने सोलर कंपनी के साथ में पीपीए साइन किया एंड देन वी गॉट इनटू इट. वी गॉट एंड टोल्ड कि सर हम लोग ना ग्रीन डेटा सेंटर बना रहे. क्या ग्रीन नहीं समझे. हमने खाली पीपीटी के हेडलाइन चेंज किया कि ग्रीन डेटा सेंटर वी आर मेकिंग इट. सेम कंपनी, उससे ज़्यादा टेक्नोलॉजी, सेम चीज़ थी. हमने 18 साल का पैसा रेस किया. अभी हमने रेपो रेट में पैसा रेस किया. हम 1 year MCLR से भी नीचे में पैसा रेस करके दिए. एंड वी गॉट इट ए 7 year मोनाटोरियम मनी. सेम कंपनी, सेम थिंग. वी वर वर्किंग विथ वन ऑफ द टेक्सटाइल कंपनी. इन द टेक्सटाइल कंपनी and also in the steel company. In the steel company last 2 years before, they were setting up a new steel plant where they were using the whatever was the waste energy was getting circulated into the power, and then they were using the same waste energy which was getting circulated. We just demonstrated it is a sustainable steel plant. Then somebody told कि sir इसके अंदर आप खाली you just mentioned कि you will only use scrap material of steel, which fortunately that steel plant was using it. We started using this project report as green steel project report. कि हम green steel बनाएंगे. Sir, in green steel projects, sir, all the DFIs of the world, we got in the steel plant, we got IFC to fund the project. There was never ever happened in the history that IFC has came and funded a steel plant at any point of time. We got a 20-year funding for a steel plant at the terms that whatever we wanted. And debt equity was approximately 85-15. At any term loan that you are raising around, it is around 70-30. The debt equity was 85-15. The terms was as per our requirement. So whatever, now we were working for a water company, Namami Gange ka, I could remember when Modi ji, our honorable Prime Minister came and he told कि हमको गंगा clean करनी है. तो गंगा clean करनी है, तो they came up with a Namami se Ganga project. Just one liner, what is that Namami Ganga project is that? उन्होंने 5-5 किलोमीटर या 10-10 किलोमीटर का से गंगा का स्ट्रेच बनाया and they told कि सर आप एक कंपनी आएगी जो उस स्ट्रेच में पानी को क्लीन करे. 3 years or 5 years before, when the first project came in, it was so difficult concept to explain to a banker कि सर नमामि गंगे का project है, HAM की तरह project है, there is an annuity project with the government. It was so easy कि आप इसमें खाली project लगाना है. So difficult to convince to a banker. Last 3 years, sir, each and every project has got funded when we started using it as a sustainable project. We are not even using it as a Namami Gange project or anything that way. So anything which has to do with water, anything which has to do with sewerage, anything which has to do with cost reduction, आप कोई भी cost reduction project ले जाइए, उसको आप sustainable का word डाल दीजिए वहाँ पे. तो if you are using any of the innovation that you are doing, wherever you can go and tell them कि सर इसके अंदर में हम cost माने whatever is the profit and loss account में आप कोई भी head पकड़ लीजिए, आप बोल दीजिए कि सर ये equipment लगाने से मेरा ये cost में reduction हो जाएगा. You can use funding for that equipment, you can use it as a sustainable funding process. And आप SLL बोल के जितनी भी DFIs हैं in world के अंदर में, वो IFC हर कंट्री के अंदर ये 3-4 बड़े इंस्टीट्यूशन है विच वी कॉल एज DFI. उसके अंदर एक डेस्क है सस्टेनेबली लिंक्ड लोन करके. यू आस्क फॉर दैट पर्सन हु लुक आफ्टर सस्टेनेबिलिटी लिंक्ड लोन, अप्रोच दैट पर्सन एंड टेल देम कि सर ये 3 या 4 क्राइटेरिया आपके फुलफिल होते हैं. आई एश्योर यू योर फंडिंग with the domestic institution you will get a far better funding mechanism and that would be far better things. So what you can use ESG for the time being is this, ki sir, how you can increase your debt equity ratio, how you can increase, how you can reduce your cost of fund, and lastly, how you can increase your more investor base. Matlab, now at the present moment, you can only approach 3 or 4 investors. How with these 3 or 4 words that you can use it? Please, I'm not trying to say any chalaki for that. I'm just trying to use it just for the common person understanding. Although it has got its own merits of the case, just for the simplicity, I'm just using all these words for you all so that how you can use this ESG to your own advantage into your fundraising. That was my point I wanted to establish. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. So we are all trying to create a much better world with ESG, better products, better resources with cleaning of water and better working conditions for people, we heard, better costing in terms of the funds that we are raising, and definitely a lot of support from various institutions, the funding institutions, and also the customers who are buying our products. So net, what ESG is going to do to our businesses, it will ultimately be much more optimal use of resources, I would say, is what ESG will help us with. Cost reduction, we have heard about it. About better efficient utilization of resources, less intervention when it comes to legal and regulatory issues if you're working following certain norms. This is also what we hear. And ultimately leading to a top line growth. So all of this impacting the lives of many people, people living on the streets to people working in the offices. So impacting all of us, and thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you so much. We have a time crunch, so we are wrapping it up a little early, but if there are questions, please engage with the panelists during lunchtime. Thank you.